Okay guys, we're going to work on this together in class today, and then some of the other questions are going to be homework. I'm going to put them all in this ed puzzle for anybody who is absent or learning at home. So the first question here says, write an integer that represents the following values. So you have a negative charge of 3, 40 meters below sea level, and a credit of $5. So you're going to be able to do this one on your own, I'm pretty confident. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. Here we have the temperature in Antarctica is negative 70 degrees Celsius. The temperature in the Sahara Desert is 40 degrees Celsius, and the temperature in the North Pole is negative 35 degrees Celsius. Which place is the warmest? Explain your thinking. Again, I think this one is one that you can do on your own using what you've learned so far. So I'm going to move on. Here we have one. It says the electrical charge of the electrical charge on a calcium ion is a positive 2, and the electrical charge of a chlorine ion is a negative 1. How many chlorine ions are needed to balance the compound formed by a calcium and chloride make the electrical charge of the compound 0? Now, honestly, you do not need to know what an ion is. You do not need to know how to form a compound. You don't need any of that. What you need to pay attention to here is that we're looking at calcium as a positive 2, chlorine as a negative 1. And we need to know how many chlorine we need to balance, that's the key word, the compound. That means that we want it to go to a 0. So if you think about that, I'm going to draw a number line here. Here's 0, 1, 2, negative 1, negative 2. So a calcium ion is at a positive 2. So if I'm at positive 2 and the chlorine ion is at negative 1, okay? And what I want to do is I need to add as many chlorine ions as I can to move this calcium back to 0, okay? So negative 1, that's like subtracting 1, right? So what I need to do is use my number line here, and I'm going to think to myself, okay, here on this side I have 1 and I get to negative 2. Here I have 1 to the left to get to negative 1. How many more would I have to add to have the same distance on both sides, right, to be opposites? Well, there I would need to add another 1 to get to to negative 2, right? So the answer here is going to be you need 2 chlorine ions. Okay, then if I would take 2 and add negative 2 to it, I would be back at 0. Okay, does that make sense? Here's one. It says a farmer had 40 acres of land. Due to heavy rains, he lost 15 acres of his land last summer. How much land does the farmer still have? So this is one that I think that you can do on your own, and think about what the key words here are to indicate positive or negative. Here we have Carter has a debit card, and we talked a lot in class about debit cards that your parents have, and you know you use those to spend money. So his debit card with $500 on it to shop. While shopping, he buys 2 pairs of shoes worth $30 each. On his way home, Carter gets a message from the bank saying that $424 has been withdrawn from his debit card by his son. What is the remaining balance in his account? Can Carter purchase another pair of shoes with the money left in his account? Well, let's start off here by picking out the key information. So first of all, it's very important to know that he's starting with $500. It's also really important to know that he's going to buy 2 pairs of shoes, and they are $30 each. It's also important to know that he gets a call saying $424 has been withdrawn from his account. And if you remember, that word withdrawn means taken out of, so that would be a negative amount. And then we want to know if the remaining balance, so what's left, what is it? And can he buy another pair of shoes? So, first of all, where I would start with this is to find out how much Carter spent. So, the shoes he got are $30, and he bought 2 pairs. So, I would start by taking that $30 and multiplying by 2 to know that he spent $60 on shoes. Okay? So, if he spent $60 on shoes, that means he's going to take his $500. He's going to subtract $60, right? So then that's $440 that he would have left in his account. If he then gets that call saying $424 has been withdrawn by his son, I'm going to subtract, get it together, Eccles, there we go. I'm going to subtract that from what he has in there now. Oh, that leaves him with $16. So, what is remaining balance? The remaining balance is $16. Okay. Does he have enough to buy another pair of shoes? The answer there is no. Shoes are $30. And he only has 16. Does that make sense? So that was a multi-step problem. You could solve that a number of different ways. You could take the $500 and subtract the $424 first, and then subtract the cost of the sneakers. It really doesn't matter what order you do that in. Here we have an underwater ship is located at 500 meters below sea level. If the ship descends another 350 meters below sea level, what is its new location? Well, there's some important keywords here. First of all, an underwater ship. So right away, that should indicate to you that this is negative. It's under sea level, under the sea, negative, 500 meters. Here it even tells you it's below sea level. Okay, so that's at a negative 500 meters. So I'm going to write that down on the side because I know that. And then it says if the ship descends another 350 meters, that means it's going to go down even more, another 350 meters. They want to know the new location. So what that means is I'm going to draw like a little picture here. Okay, here's my, we really should switch colors for this since it's water, right? So here's my ocean, right? Let's say that the ship is here at negative 500 meters. Then it's going to go down even more and 350 more meters down. So now we want how far down this is. Well, this is where you should use absolute value to figure this out. So all you have to do is take the absolute value of negative 500, add to that the absolute value of negative 350, okay? So really, that's 500 plus 350, right? Because absolute values are positive. And you're going to get 850 meters. So the answer, but you have to remember that's negative because we're under the sea. So the answer to this question is negative 850 meters. That's where we end up. That's the new location. Okay, here we have another question. A city has frequent fluctuations in temperature. The temperature in the morning was 48.5 degrees Fahrenheit, and it dropped by 50 degrees at night. What was the temperature at night? Did it get warmer or colder? First of all, what's important here, the temperature in the morning was 48.5 degrees Fahrenheit. It dropped by 50 degrees at night. They want to know what the temperature is. Did it get warmer or colder? Well, first of all, you should know it got colder because it's telling you it dropped. This is a really good one to use a vertical number line with, okay? So I'm going to draw a vertical number line here. I'm going to say that this is 0. I'm going to say that this is 48.5. Okay? So, it's at 48.5. It's going to drop by 50 degrees. Well, you know, or you should know, from 48.5 to 0, from that far, is 48.5 degrees. So, that's 48.5. Then you need to think, how much further would I have to go to get to 50? Well, then you think, now I'm on the negative side. So Here's negative. I'm going to go by half now because, you know, then it kind of rounds out a little easier for you. So if you go to negative 0 and 5/10, there's your half. Now I'm at 49, right? So to here, now I'm at, it dropped 49 degrees. So then it would have to go to one more, to negative 1, right? 0.5, and I'm going to be at 50. That would be my 50 degrees. So there, because, you know, 1/2 plus 1 is going to be 1.5. So your answer here is going to be negative 1 1/2 degrees Fahrenheit. That's how the number line really can help you. Because we have to go, you know, add 1 to that over there to get to 1.5. I hope that makes sense. Without using a calculator, that's the easiest way to do it. Okay. Here we have Parker participates in an international mathematics competition. He loses 900 points in the first round. He gains 1,200 points in the second round and loses 200 points in the third round. After all 3 rounds, he ends up in third place. If a person who got first place earned 400 points, how many more points does Parker need to tie for first place? Well, let's use a number line to figure out where Parker ends up here, okay? So I'm going to underline some things. So he loses 900 points in the first round. He gains 1,200 points in the second round. Then he loses another 200 points in the third round. After all 3 rounds, he's in third place, okay? The person who gets first place earns 400 points. So we want to know how many more points does Parker need to tie. Well, let's take a look here, okay? So he's going to be on this number line, right? And he's going to go down to minus 900, okay? So I'm going to call this 0. Then he's going to come all the way back up because he's going to gain 1,200 points. So from negative 900 up to 0, there's 900, right? So then to go from 0, 1,200 minus 900 is what? 300, right? So he needs to come up 300 more to gain his 1,200 points. So now he's going to be up here at 300. Oh, sorry guys, I'm going to pause because my dog's howling at the sirens outside. Okay, I'm back. So now in the second round, he's up here at positive 300. Then it tells us he loses 200 points in the third round. So he's got to go back. I'm going to change to blue. Back 200 points. That means 300 minus 200. He's going to end up at 100. So Parker finishes at 100 points. Positive. See how the number line kind of helps you slide on that back and forth? If the person that wins first place hits 400 points, how many more does Parker need to tie? Well, 400 minus 100 is 300. Parker needs 300 points. Okay? So if you use that number line, it kind of helps you. I hope that you see that. I'm going to let you do this one on your own. If I were you, I would kind of use the lines I have here for you, and I would remember what absolute value is. Okay?